Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, November the 24th. We got a big Wednesday slate. We got 13 games to go over. As always, guys, we're going to go game by game. We're going to talk through each game on the slate, break down each team, kind of give my thoughts, what does stand out to me looking at the slate on Tuesday night. And then as we do go through each game, as always, we will build out kind of an early core, 5 guys that I do like at first look. Now, as always, these are my first look of the slate. With the sport like NBA, there's always news that comes out during the day. Things can change. A guy can get ruled out randomly, and that can completely change the slate. So I do provide a lot more updated content on Patreon if you want to check that out. If you really enjoy these first look videos, you want to see more content I have to offer, you can check out my Patreon, link down below in the description. Get access to my full updated core plays, get access to my positional plays where I list off my favorite plays at each position. You can get access to my rankings as well. I list off my top 20 plays in order, guys I have the most interest in, my favorite value plays, favorite studs, all that. Those guys are usually in the rankings. And then also have a Discord chat you can join where you can ask me questions, anytime during the day. I'm usually always in Discord, up until lock, even after lock. If you have questions, I can answer those too. So a lot of content available on Patreon. If that's something that does interest you, you can check that out. Link down below in the description. And I also do give out some of my favorite picks on Prize Picks each day for Patreon members. Prize Picks is the sponsor of this video. So, if you want to check out Prize Picks, you haven't signed up for them yet, use code NOAH. When you sign up for Prize Picks, they will give you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. Basically, they will double, your first deposit. And you can take a look at what Prize Picks has to offer. They're more of a player prop based DFS site, so you're basically just picking the over or the under on players' projections. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 5 picks and win up to 10 extra money on Prize Picks. And they will be running a promo Thursday for the Thanksgiving Day NFL games. I know this is an NBA video, but for the Thanksgiving Day NFL games, I think Wednesday at midnight, they are going to change Josh Allen's passing yard projection to 0.5. So they're basically going to be giving you a free pick where you can take the over on Josh Allen's passing yards. It will be set at 0.5, and then you just kind of have to find another pick that you like to pair with that one, and you could potentially, parlay those two together and triple up your money. Easy as that. There's no NBA games on Thanksgiving, but you could do like you could pair with an NFL pick. I don't know if there's any other sports going on Thanksgiving Day, but you can find another NFL pick you like to pair with that one and potentially triple up your money. So definitely check that out. Check out that promo they're running. Again, it'll probably go live late Wednesday night, around midnight, early Thursday morning. Check the board on Prize Picks, the NFL board. Go to their passing yards, and you'll see that Josh Allen's passing yard projection is set to 0.5. You pick the over there. Find another pick you like to pair with that one, and potentially parlay those two together and triple up your money. So if you want to sign up, you want to take advantage of that promo, use code NOAH. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. But let's take a look at Wednesday's big 13-game slate. And we'll start off with the Cavs and Suns game. So looking at the Suns side here, the Suns are a team, when they're fully healthy, they're a team I just don't really roster that often, especially when the pricing is, pretty accurate. And I think that is the case here. On this big 13-game slate, I don't think Phoenix is a team I'm really going to be rostering that much. Devin Booker, Chris Paul are fine plays. DeAndre Ayton's a fine play, but Ayton, his price tag's got up to $7,400 now. About a week ago, he was like $6,200. I thought he was a really good play then. Now that his price is where it is, I don't think he's someone that really stands out to me. I guess if I had to play someone on this Suns team, it probably would be Ayton. But I think for the most part, I'm probably just going to be full fading Phoenix here. I just don't really like too much from Phoenix, given where everyone's priced at. On the Cleveland side, we do need to watch the injuries here. Cleveland's a team that we could potentially get some value from maybe, or there could be some plays open up because Darius Garland is currently questionable. Cedi Osman's currently, or he's probable, so he's expected to play. He's expected back for this game. But Darius Garland is questionable, which is pretty big because they're already without Colin Sexton. If they were to be missing Darius Garland here as well, we could see Ricky Rubio forced into a really big role. I'd assume he would move into the starting lineup, would be forced to play big minutes. He would have the ball in his hands a lot. Revenge game for him against the Suns, if you want to factor that in for anything. I don't think it really matters, but I guess somewhat worth noting. I think Ricky Rubio, though, would be a pretty good play here if Darius Garland gets ruled out. I would like him even at $6,800. I think he would be someone worth considering. Phoenix this year has been a team, when you face Phoenix, it is a pretty good matchup. Phoenix has been playing at the 4th fastest pace in the league. In terms of defensive rating, they've been a good defensive team. They got the 3rd best defensive rating in the league, but they do play really fast. So this would be a pretty big-time pace-up spot for the Cavs. So far this year, the Cavs are 25th in pace. So I think a guy like Ricky Rubio, if Darius Garland's out, I would have some interest in. Jared Allen returned from illness last game and played massive minutes, 37 minutes, had 43 DK points. With Evan Mobley out right now, I think Jared Allen's going to be a guy that plays big minutes on a nightly basis. His price tag is $7,400 on a 13-game slate. I don't know if Jared Allen's going to stand out as like a core play, but definitely, in play if you're playing a lot of lineups, he's someone I would get some exposure to. And then the last guy I want to mention is Lauri Markkanen. So Lauri Markkanen also made his return last game from COVID protocols, and he really wasn't limited at all. He played 31 minutes, and he was pretty productive, had 36 Draftkings points. I think no Evan Mobley really secures the minutes for Lauri Markkanen. Colin Sexton being out as well, there's more usage available. For $5,400, if we're going to get 30-plus minutes again from Lauri Markkanen, I think he's a pretty good play and might be my favorite play overall from this Cavs team. He is definitely underpriced for the minutes he should get, the additional usage he should get with Sexton off the floor, and potentially, with no Garland as well. I like Lauri Markkanen quite a bit. I think he's a strong play. I think, Ricky Rubio would be a pretty good play if Garland's out, and I think Jared Allen is someone you can definitely take a shot on as well. That's it, though, for this game for me. We can move on to the next one, talk about the Lakers and the Pacers. So the Lakers are on a back-to-back here. They will be getting back LeBron James for this game. I don't really have any interest in any Lakers on this slate, assuming they are fully healthy. Anthony Davis was questionable with an illness on Tuesday. He ultimately wound up playing. Keep an eye on the injury report. It wouldn't be surprising on a back-to-back if they sit AD here, especially since they're going to be getting LeBron back. But for now, assuming that everyone plays, AD, LeBron, assuming they all play, at their price points, nobody stands out from the Lakers. When the big three from the Lakers are fully healthy, they're just not guys I really jam in. And on a big slate like this, I don't think I'm really going to be rostering any Lakers today. Again, we'll have to pay attention to the injury report. That could change. We can obviously talk about, any news that comes out during the day. We can talk about that in the live stream. I usually do live stream about an hour before lock each day. And also, I give my updated content, my updated core plays on Patreon. So if you want to get those, you can as well. But for now, I don't think I'm going to be on any Lakers. Now, on the Pacers side, there's a decent amount I like here. Domantas Sabonis to 8,500. I'm pretty high on once again. Like him a lot on DK at first look, and I think on Yahoo he looks like a pretty good play as well. $37. He's for sure one of my favorite plays overall, just kind of from these early games. Sabonis, I was pretty high on him last slate against the Bulls. He could have had a massive, massive game. He only played 26 minutes because it was a huge blowout. He didn't play much at all in the fourth quarter. Obviously got limited because of the blowout. I think he also was in a little bit of foul trouble and saw his minutes cut a little bit because of that too. But he was pretty productive, had 42 DK points in those 26 minutes. I like that matchup for him against the Bulls. I like this matchup for him against the Lakers. We just saw what Julius Randle did to the Lakers on Tuesday night. The Lakers this season, they've been playing super, super fast. They've been playing at the second fastest pace in the league. Defensively, they've been decent. They've been about middle of the pack in defensive rating, but I think this is a really good spot for Sabonis. I like, the big-time pace-up spot. I like just really getting a matchup against the Lakers this year has been pretty profitable. I like targeting the Lakers defensively. I don't think they're really that good of a defensive team, and with how fast they've been playing, there's definitely upside for guys like Sabonis. Even Malcolm Brogdon at 7,600 I have some interest in. He's been overpriced lately, but now his price has come down to 7,600. Not a standout play, but I think is playable on this big slate. He's probably my second favorite play from Indiana. Karis LeVert's questionable, so if he gets ruled out, that would definitely be even better for Brogdon. It would be even better for all these guys, Sabonis as well. Miles Turner at 6K. Miles Turner's not a guy I really play that often. He's shown some upside this year, but he does still have a really low floor. He also is a guy that sometimes you can see foul trouble be a concern for him. Probably not going to be someone I go to. Sabonis for sure, the guy I like most from Indiana. I think Brogdon's a good play as well. Would like Brogdon a lot more if LeVert's out. And I think that's probably it for this Pacers game. So we can move on to the next one, the Hornets and the Magic. So looking at the Hornets here, LaMelo Ball 10,700. LaMelo on this slate feels priced correctly. I know we've seen massive games from LaMelo lately. He's got 60 DK points in 2 of his last 3 games. He's put up at least 50 DK points in 3 straight games. But 10-7 is kind of tough to pay for LaMelo, especially on a 13-game slate where you just have a lot of pay-up options. I don't think LaMelo is going to be someone I prioritize. Now, would it be surprising to see LaMelo have another big game here? It wouldn't be surprising at all. Defensively, the Magic are not a team we should be worried about. They've got the second worst defensive rating in the league. But at 10-7, where he's priced at, LaMelo's not like a priority play for me. I think in general, probably the Hornets as a team are just not a team I'm that high on. I don't see too much I really like here. PJ Washington's doubtful again, so could we go to Mason Plumlee? I guess we could. He fouled out last game in 22 minutes. His foul trouble is always a concern for him, but I think without PJ Washington, that should secure him for pretty good minutes. I do like the matchup against Orlando. Orlando has been a team that, defensively against centers, you've seen a lot of centers have big games against Orlando. Plumlee did have 36 DK points in 32 minutes against them earlier this season. As a super low-owned contrarian option, I guess Plumlee's fine, but there's no standout plays coming from this Hornets team. On the Magic side, though, there are some guys I do like here. So the Magic, once again, going to be without Cole Anthony, which does kind of secure the minutes for guys like Jalen Suggs, RJ Hampton. They're the guys I kind of like the most from this Magic team. RJ Hampton, I was pretty high on last slate, and he had a really good game. You know, we talked about it in my video and in the stream. I thought RJ Hampton was a pretty safe option just because if the game got really ugly against Milwaukee, I thought he would still be out there in a blowout. And surely enough, he did play in the fourth quarter. He played in the blowout and had a good game, scored 35 DK points in 31 minutes. No Cole Anthony should secure him for probably close to 30 minutes again. And by any chance that the Hornets blow them out here, which is obviously possible, I think we would still see RJ Hampton out there in a blowout. But the matchup's really good. The price tag's starting to get up there, which I think keeps his ownership down. So I definitely like RJ Hampton as a little bit of a lower owned tournament play. 4,900 on DK, not too expensive on Yahoo either, only $14. He's for sure my favorite play from Orlando today. And then I think Jalen Suggs is fine too. He's a little bit riskier. We've kind of seen a low floor from Jalen Suggs, but I think if this game stays close, it's a good matchup for him. He should play 30 to 32 minutes if it's a close game. He's someone you could also target as well. And then the bigs, Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter. At their price tags, I don't mind them. The matchup against Charlotte's one I do like. Again, Charlotte's a team you can kind of tag down low. We've seen a lot of bigs have big games against the Hornets this season. Mo Bamba went for 37 DK points against them earlier this year. Wendell Carter, I had 39 DK points. Both these guys did really well against Charlotte. For 5,500, like Wendell Carter, between the two, I think might be my preferred just because of the savings you get dropping down from Mo Bamba. But Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter, both guys I probably would have in my player pool if I was playing a lot of lineups. Now, if I was just playing one lineup, would I be rostering those guys in my one lineup? Probably not. But they would definitely be in my lineup if I was playing, or in my player pool if I was playing a lot of lineups. But that's probably it from Orlando. Franz Wagner's price tag's come way down, 3,900. His minutes lately have been kind of cut. He hasn't really been playing that well lately, but I think most nights Franz Wagner's going to play like 30 to 35 minutes. He's only 3,900. It's a good matchup against a fast-paced Hornets team. If you want to go there, I don't hate it as a value play. I feel like there'll probably be better value open up as the day goes on, but Wagner's playable. Same could be said for Terrence Ross at 3,600. He's going to get around 30 minutes off the bench, maybe a little less. You do worry about the game staying close for him because if it's a blowout, I don't think Terrence Ross plays in a blowout. He only played 18 minutes last game. But for 3,600 as a super low-owned tournament play, he's viable. But I really like RJ Hampton. He's my favorite play from Orlando. And then some of those other guys we talked about are viable too. But we can move on to the next game, Brooklyn and Boston. So this should probably be a good game to watch. I don't know if it's a game I'm really going to be looking to target that heavily for DFS. Because KD and Harden, when they're both playing, especially where they're priced at right now, it's tough to roster both guys. Could you get a big game from Harden here? It's possible, but 11,700, he's not going to be someone I really prioritize paying up for. And the same could be said for KD at 11,200. If you force me to roster one of these Brooklyn guys, I think I'd rather have KD over Harden. But neither one look great here. They're going to be super low owned. I know last slate KD was like super low owned, so was Harden. It's just tough to roster them right now given where they're priced at. I don't think they should be 11K. I don't think they should both be above 11K. I think they should be like probably 10K, if not a little bit less than that. So don't really like them that much. The rest of the Nets, I'm not that high on either. Patty Mills is someone I've been kind of looking to for value lately, but now that his price is 4,700, it's a tough matchup against Boston. It's a 13-game slate. I doubt Patty Mills is going to be someone I really look to jam in on this slate. He should still get big minutes because Bruce Brown and Joe Harris are going to be out again, but probably not going to be like a top value play for me. And then with Bruce Brown out last game, we did see DeAndre Bembry start, but I talked about it in my video and in the stream. Like DeAndre Bembry is one of these guys that just doesn't offer a lot of upside. He started, only played 23 minutes, only had 13 DK points. Even if he starts again, I doubt I go there. So really not much from Brooklyn that I love. And then on the Boston side, kind of the same thing here. So Jaylen Brown returned last game. He's questionable for this one, so this will be something to monitor. If Jaylen Brown plays, I don't see too much I like from Boston because with Jaylen Brown back, that takes away from guys like Schroeder. It takes away a little bit from Tatum. We still saw Tatum have a really good game, even in limited minutes, 44 DK points in 34 minutes. It was a blowout last game against Houston. I don't think he played that much in the fourth quarter. Look, Tatum could still have a good game here. We know Tatum's got massive upside, but if Jaylen Brown's playing, that just doesn't really make me have much interest in any Boston guys. Now, if Jaylen Brown sits, then I think we could look to Tatum, we could look to Schroeder, but given where they're priced at, they still wouldn't be like standout plays because obviously they've been priced up for when Jaylen Brown was out. So in general, like this game is one I'm just not that interested in for DFS. So next game, the Bulls and the Rockets. On the Bulls side, got to keep an eye on the injury report here. Vucevic could potentially make his return from COVID protocols. He's been out for about 2 weeks now. He's questionable for this game. If Vuce returns, that's probably going to take me off all of the Bulls because obviously DeRozan and Levine have been priced up for when Vuce was out. Same with Lonzo. I really wouldn't be interested in any of those guys, even in a good matchup against Houston. Kobe White did start last game in place of Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso is questionable for this game, so if he's out again, maybe we could go to Kobe White. Kobe White didn't really play that well. He played 25 minutes, only had 14 DK points. I think he was in a little bit of foul trouble, though. He's 4,100. He's super cheap. Kobe White in the past has been a good productive player. I don't know if he's going to be as productive this year with Chicago just because playing alongside Levine, playing alongside DeRozan, he's just not going to get nearly as much opportunity, nearly as much scoring opportunity. But he's 4,100. I'd assume he'd be super low owned. So maybe you could take a shot on Kobe White if he winds up starting again. But in general, the Bulls are not a team I'm really that high on here. Now, if Vooch remains out, you could definitely go to DeRozan and Levine. I still don't think they would be standout plays given where they're priced at. But there would be some upside for both those guys if Vooch is out. We can move on to Houston, though, talk about the Rockets. So looking at the Rockets here, you got Christian Wood at 7,400. Look, Christian Wood's someone I've kind of been off of lately. These Rockets guys are always super risky to roster just because they're a team that gets blown out a lot. The Bulls are definitely a good team and could blow them out here. But I think if this game does stay close, we do see Christian Wood play probably 35, 36 minutes. That's kind of what he's been playing in competitive games this year. If Vooch is still out, I would definitely like the matchup for Christian Wood just because without Vooch, it's going to be like Tony Bradley and Alzay Johnson, just guys that really couldn't stop Christian Wood or shouldn't be able to stop Christian Wood. So it would be definitely a good matchup for Christian Wood if Vooch does not play. I guess he would be my favorite play from Houston. Kevin Porter Jr. should be playing today, which kind of takes me off of guys like Jayshawn Tate and Eric Gordon and Jalen Green. Houston's a team I'm not that high on, but I think Christian Wood's playable, and probably that's it for the Rockets. So next game, the Raptors and the Grizzlies. Looking at the Raptors here, OG Anunoby, I think is questionable for today. Yeah, he's questionable as well. There's a lot of questionable guys. Obviously, this is a slate where we're going to have to pay attention to the injury report. Assuming that OG does not play, I think we can look to guys like Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet. Without OG, you expect these to be the guys that really dominate the usage. These are going to be the guys that play big minutes. We know VanVleet, Siakam are probably going to play close to 40 minutes if it's a close game. I'm pretty sure so far this year, Fred VanVleet's leading the league in minutes. He's been playing a ton of minutes every single night. Matchup against Memphis, I think, is really favorable. Memphis so far this year, they are playing at the 12th fastest pace in the league, and they actually are the worst defensive rating in the league so far. Memphis dead last in defensive rating. So I think there's definitely upside for guys like Siakam and VanVleet. If OG winds up playing, it would lower my interest a little bit in those guys, but they would still be viable just because the spot's so good against Memphis. The rest of the Raptors, though, I'm not really that high on. Like Scotty Barnes and Gary Trent, where they're priced at, I don't think really stand out. Precious Achiuwa, I think, is questionable again. Yeah, he's questionable again. We've seen Keem Birch start these last few games with Achiuwa and OG both out. If Kim Birch were to start again, he would probably play 22 to 24 minutes. I don't think he'd be a great value on a 13-game slate, but he would at least be playable. Really, though, Siakam and VanVleet are the standout plays, the guys I like most from Toronto. Now, in Memphis, Memphis kind of another team that they feel priced about right for today. Ja Morant's 9,800. On a 13-game slate, I don't think Ja Morant's going to be a stud I really prioritize. I think there's other guys I'd rather pay up for that we're going to talk about later. You also have some guard options in the 7K range that I really like. VanVleet. We're going to talk about some other guys later on. So don't think I really like Ja that much. Jaren Jackson at 6,300 is playable if you want to go there. He did have a really big game last game against Utah, even in a tougher matchup. Triple J is one of these guys, really struggles with foul trouble, but if he can stay out of foul trouble, he does offer some upside at his price point. Desmond Bane's been playing really well with Dylan Brooks and DeAnthony Melton both out. He's been getting big minutes, played 34 minutes last game, shot the ball really well, had 44 DK points. His price is up to 5,500 now. I don't know if Desmond Bane's going to be a guy that I really run to roster at 5,500 just because he is a pretty scoring-dependent player. I think he will get a lot of opportunities to score if Melton's already out, but if Dylan Brooks is out again. But 5,500 is still a lot to pay for Desmond Bane on a 13-game slate. I would really only be considering him if Dylan Brooks sits. If Dylan Brooks plays, I'd be off of Bane. I'd be off of Kyle Anderson most likely too. Kyle Anderson's been starting lately. He played 23 minutes last game. He's 4,600. I don't think, even if he starts again, I don't think he's going to be a value play that I really prioritize. So there's not too much I love from Memphis here. I think we can move on to the next game. So next one, we got Detroit and Milwaukee. This is a game that, a lot of blowout risk here. Detroit on a back-to-back. We'll need to pay attention to the injury report. Looking at this Detroit team, though, at the top, Cade Cunningham had a god-awful game Tuesday against the Heat. 29 minutes, was in foul trouble, only scored 19 DK points. Given how bad he was Tuesday, I assume that keeps his ownership way down. And on a big slate, I don't think he really is someone that's going to get a ton of love. So if you want to go back to him in tournaments, and we know the upside Cade Cunningham has, I think there's still a low floor from him. We've seen, he can really struggle, but when he's got it going, he can definitely put up 45, 50 DK points. He's going to be nobody's going to play Cade Cunningham today, I wouldn't assume. So I think he's definitely a good tournament play. He's still pretty affordable on Yahoo. So if you do play over there, $24 for Cade Cunningham, I think looks pretty good as a shooting guard option. Jeremy Grant, Sadiq Bey, though, I don't love. The value from this team we could consider, I guess, like Corey Joseph at 4,400. I liked a lot on Tuesday. He was a pretty popular value. He played 34 minutes, had 29 DK points. I'd assume he plays close to that again today, assuming Killian Hayes remains out. I don't think we have an update yet on Killian Hayes. Okay, so he's going to miss at least 2 more games. So Killian Hayes is going to be out again. So Corey Joseph should start. Probably plays like 30 to 32 minutes if it's a close game. He's 4,400 now. I don't know if he's like a top value play. We'll have to wait and see what other value opens up as the day goes on. But Corey Joseph's definitely playable. And then with Isaiah Stewart suspended Tuesday, he's going to be suspended again for this game. So he's going to be out again. We did see Luka Garza draw the start at center, played 17 minutes, had 13 DK points. He was in a lot of foul trouble. I think foul trouble kind of cut his minutes. I assume he starts again. This is a scary spot going up against Giannis. I mean, we could definitely see the same thing happen again. Like Luka Garza could pick up 2 fouls going up against Giannis because, Giannis is going to be attacking the rim. He's a guy that draws a lot of fouls. On a 13-game slate, I don't have nearly as much interest in Luka Garza. He was someone I liked a lot Tuesday once it was announced he was starting. But I doubt I'd go back to him today just because there's going to be probably better value. Trey Lyles, he talked about yesterday, but when it was announced he wasn't starting, I kind of got off of him. He did play 25 minutes off the bench, but I think he really benefited with Luka Garza getting in foul trouble. So, yeah, I just don't really think I'm going to be going to this Detroit team that much. I think Cade on Yahoo looks decent, and then I think Corey Joseph as a value is playable, but don't really want to be loading up on Pistons on a 13-game slate, I don't think. Now, on the Milwaukee side, look, good spot. Detroit's terrible. They're a bad defensive team, but like Giannis, Middleton, Portis, Drew, like where they're priced at, plus given the blowout risk, I don't think this is going to be a team I really force in that much. Giannis obviously has a lot of upside. Giannis can put up a big game, in any matchup. This is a spot that where we could definitely see him have his minutes cut. Last game against Orlando, he only played 24 minutes just because they beat Orlando so bad. I don't think Giannis played at all in the fourth quarter. This could definitely be another game where Giannis doesn't play in the fourth quarter and he has his minutes cut just because they beat the crap out of Detroit. At 12-2, I don't think I'm going to pay up for Giannis today. It's just, he's probably not going to be a guy I really prioritize unless we just get like a ton of value and it's really easy to fit him in. I don't think there's going to be much I go to for Milwaukee. This is probably just a team I'm going to avoid today. Could some of these guys do well, especially if the game stays close? It's definitely possible, but I do worry about blowout here. I don't see too much that stands out from Milwaukee given where everyone's priced at. And then Brook Lopez, I think he has a chance of returning soon. If he returns, that's definitely going to, that would take me off a guy like Bobby Portis. But I don't think Bobby Portis at 7K was going to be really on my radar anyway. So next game, we're going to talk about Miami and Minnesota. So Miami's on a back-to-back. Bam Adebayo was questionable Tuesday. He popped up on the injury report. He ultimately wound up playing. Keep an eye on his status for today. I assume he'll be good to go. I assume everyone on Miami will be good to go. But like we saw earlier this year, Kyle Lowry rested on a back-to-back, so they could rest Kyle Lowry here. But assuming everyone plays from Miami, I don't see too much I like here. The matchup against Minnesota is pretty favorable, but like Jimmy's 10K, Bam's 8,400. Bam would probably be my favorite play if I had to roster anyone on the Heat. I definitely like the matchup against Karl-Anthony Towns. We've seen centers do really well against Cat. Cat's never really been a good defender, so I think there's some upside for Bam if you want to go there in tournaments, but there's no standout plays from Miami. And then on the Minnesota side, it's kind of the same thing here. Minnesota, this matchup against Miami is not good. Miami's been really good defensively this year. They play pretty slow as well. Like so far this year, the Heat are playing at the 4th slowest pace in the league, and they've been one of the best defensive teams. So you're basically just kind of hoping to catch lightning in a bottle. None of these guys are going to project that well. Anthony Edwards is only 7,400, so I think he's someone that does offer some upside just because, 7,400 for Ant is probably too cheap. Again, the matchup's terrible. I don't think Ant's likely to do well in this matchup, but the price tag makes him somewhat reasonable to roster. if you want to go there. But Minnesota in a tough matchup, there's not a ton of standout plays from this Timberwolves team. So next game, the Jazz and the Thunder. Looking at the Jazz here, they're a team that I really just hate rostering. I never roster these Utah guys, especially when they're fully healthy. In a game against OKC that has a lot of blowout risk, I just don't think I'm going to be going to many Jazz on this big slate. You know, Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell both have upside, but neither one are like priority plays for me. And the rest of the Jazz, I'm just not that high on. Like Conley, Bogdanovich, Clarkson, like I just don't really like any of these guys. So I think it's a good spot for Gobert and Mitchell. I think they could definitely put up ceiling games here. I mean, Gobert went for 45 in only 29 minutes against OKC. Like, OKC has been so bad defending the centers this year, and especially a guy like Gobert that can just dominate on the glass. This could definitely be a spot where Gobert puts up like 20 and 20. But again, I worry about blowout risk. And then Donovan Mitchell, a lot of upside. Bad defensive team is OKC. But again, I don't think Mitchell's going to be a priority for me. Now, on the OKC side, you kind of have to look to some of these guys today. It's a tough matchup against Utah, but they're going to be missing their top usage player, their main guy in SGA. We saw SGA was out last game, and they actually started Josh Giddey at point guard. Josh Giddey had a really big game, played really well, played 31 minutes against Atlanta, had 40 DK points. He nearly had a triple-double. Look, I think Josh Giddey, even in a tougher matchup, is probably going to be someone I look to target here. 6,600, the price tag has come up. I still think there's somewhat of a low floor on Josh Giddey, just because this Thunder team is so bad, and there's also a chance to get blown out here. But I think if this game does stay close, we could see Josh Giddey put up, another 40-plus point game. He is someone I do like on this slate. If you're playing Josh Giddey, maybe you want to play someone on Utah and just hope the game stays close, because I think if this game does wind up being a massive blowout, then Josh Giddey probably fails. But I still like him at 6,600 just because he's going to get so much opportunity without SGA. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. I mean, he started at point guard last game. He probably is going to start at point guard again. $26 on Yahoo at the small forward position. I like Giddey quite a bit there as well. So I think Josh Giddey is for sure my favorite play from OKC. There's a little bit more upside for guys like Lou Dort and Darius Baisley, but I doubt I play them on a big slate like this. Ty Jerome had a really good game off the bench, but he only played 16 minutes. I think Ty Jerome would benefit in a blowout. So if you think this game blows out, maybe you play Ty Jerome. Even if the game stays close, like there's still a chance that Ty Jerome does well, just because without SGA, he's going to get plenty of opportunity too. I think last game he was basically just backing up Giddey though. Like I think he was basically just a backup point guard behind Giddey, which is why he only played 16 minutes. If they're going to use him again in that same type of role, it's going to be hard to project him for a lot of minutes. But there could be. You never know. Like this game could blow out. Jerome gets more minutes because of that, and he's shown he can be productive when he does get minutes. He's probably just a dart throw GPP play, but still viable if you want to go there. Giddey though is definitely the standout play from OKC for me. Next game though, Washington and New Orleans. So looking at the Wizards here, Bradley Beal at the top for 9,300. On a big slate like this, I don't think Bradley Beal's going to stand out. I do like the matchup against the Pelicans. The Pelicans have been a team worth targeting this year. They've been pretty bad defensively. But Beal at his price point, I don't think I'm going to go to. Kind of the same could be said for a lot of these Wizards guys. Where they're priced at, like nobody stands out from Washington. Rui Hachimura took part in Tuesday's practice, so he can maybe be back for this game, which is going to take away from guys like, Daniel Gafford, Montrezl Harrell. Maybe they don't play nearly as many minutes. Maybe Kyle Kuzma loses a little bit of minutes. So, yeah, the Wizards are not a team I'm that high on, even in a good matchup. I think everyone's just kind of priced where they should be. Now, on the Pelican side, J-Val against this Washington team, I do like quite a bit. J-Val has a lot of upside here. The Wizards are they're such a bad team defensively against bigs. Gafford's really not that great of a defender. He blocks a lot of shots, but he's not like an elite defensive big man. And then Montrezl Harrell's kind of undersized when it comes to a guy like J-Val. We saw these teams play earlier this year. J-Val didn't have that great of a game, only 33 DK points in 37 minutes, but I'm fine going back to him here. I think he will be very low owned on a big slate like this. J-Val I do like quite a bit. I think Brandon Ingram at 7,700 is a little bit underpriced. Now, I will say that the Wizards as a team have been really good defensively this year. I still think it's a matchup that J-Val can win in just because they're so bad defending big men. But as a team, they've been good defensively. They've been playing at a slower pace this year as well. So the matchup, you may think it's great because the Wizards the past few years have been really bad and they've been a fast-paced team, but that's kind of the opposite this season. But I still do like Brandon Ingram at 7,700. Now that he's off his minutes limit and playing 37, 38 minutes a night, I think at 7,700 he's probably a little bit too cheap. That's probably it, though, from the Pelicans. I think J-Val and Ingram are the guys that stand out most here, and that's probably the only guys I'm really going to be considering on this big slate. So next game, the Hawks and the Spurs. On the Hawks side today, I don't see too much I like from Atlanta. Trae Young, always playable, but not really like a priority stud option for me. Clint Capella, a lot of upside. He's been getting big minutes lately. The Spurs, this matchup, I would say, is okay for him. I don't think Capella is going to be someone I really jam in, though. Same with like a John Collins. Kevin Huerter's been starting in place of DeAndre Hunter, been playing pretty big minutes. At 4,600, I think he's an okay value play. He's someone you could look to if you're looking for maybe a cheaper option at the shooting guard or small forward position. But, man, there's really no standout plays from Atlanta, I don't think. This is a team that, when they're fully healthy, I know DeAndre Hunter's out, but the pricing has kind of reflected that. Like, Kevin Huerter's up to 4,600 now. He's not like 3,700 like he was, a week ago. So I don't see too much I love from Atlanta. Huerter's probably my favorite play here if I had to roster anyone. Now, on the San Antonio side, I kind of like a little bit here. Dejounte Murray at 9,600, another guy that I don't think is going to be a player I really prioritize. I jam into my lineups, but we've seen Dejounte Murray has massive upside. Put up a triple-double last game, nearly 60 DK points. Against Atlanta, I think this is an okay spot for Dejounte Murray. Trae Young, if he winds up guarding Murray, Trae Young's never really been a good defender. So I think Dejounte Murray as a low-owned tournament play, viable. Jakob Poeltl, though, I do like a lot. 5,700 on DK. I think it's too cheap for Jakob Poeltl, and he looks pretty good on Yahoo as well. Underpriced, in my opinion, only $20. He stands out as one of my favorite center plays at first look. Now, I'll be very interested to see kind of what his projection comes in at when the projections are released for this slate. But last game, Jakob Poeltl moved back into the starting lineup, and he played 31 minutes. We saw in his first game back from COVID protocols, he was limited. He came off the bench, only played 15 minutes. The last game, he moved back into the starting lineup, and he played 31 minutes. So I'm assuming Jakob Poeltl starts again, and I'm assuming he plays probably his normal minutes, if not close to it. I think we get 33, 34 minutes here from Jakob Poeltl. And we saw earlier this year, before he went into COVID protocols, like he was crushing. He was putting up big games every night. He was playing big minutes every night. They're going to need his size out there against Capella and against John Collins. 5,700, if we're getting 30-plus minutes from Jakob Poeltl, that is way too cheap of a price tag. I think he really stands out as one of the better center plays today. He's definitely my favorite play in general from the Spurs team. The rest of the Spurs, though, I'm not really that high on. On a big slate, I don't think I'm really going to be going to guys like Keldon Johnson or Derek White or Devin Vassell, even though Vassell's been playing pretty well lately. 4,700, not a price tag I'm not that interested in. So moving on to the next game, we got two more left, two late-night games. First off, we'll start off with the Sixers and the Warriors. So the Sixers, once again, could be pretty short-handed for this game. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons going to remain out. Tobias Harris, questionable. He was out last game, and we saw Tyrese Maxey play really well. We saw Andre Drummond have a massive game. I would definitely like some of these Sixers if Tobias Harris is out again. We saw Andre Drummond, again, play really well. 31 minutes, had 49 DK points, 9 points, 23 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks, and a steal. I mean, Drummond, he's shown, so far this year with the Sixers, when he gets minutes, man, he can be super, super productive. And I think his minutes will be more secure without Tobias Harris. I think his production will also be better. We've seen this year whenever Drummond or whenever Embiid, Simmons, and Harris are all out, they've had 4 or 5 games this year where all those guys have been out, and Drummond has smashed in every game. Obviously, last game Harrison and Embiid were out. Some of these games, like the Knicks game, the Bucks game, Drummond or Embiid and Harris were out those games as well. So if Tobias Harris is out again, I like Andre Drummond a lot. I think Maxey would play a ton of minutes. He would definitely be viable too at 7,500. And then we could look to some of these other guys because Seth Curry was out last game, and we saw Shake Milton get some decent run, played 36 minutes. He wasn't that productive, but if Seth Curry's out again, I would have some interest in Shake Milton. I'd have some interest in guys like Korkmaz and Thibault. Thibault could be needed here. We could see him play big minutes because they might want him out there guarding Steph. He's only 3,600. He's not really a guy that I enjoy playing just because he's a pretty low upside player. He doesn't offer a ton of upside. For him to have a big game, usually it's because he gets defensive stats. So 3 steals and a block last game. Also shot 6 for 8, which is a little fluky. But Thibault, if he starts again, would be viable. Georges Niang started last game, played big minutes, 39 minutes for Georges Niang. If Tobias Harris were to be out again, I think at 4,700, Georges Niang would be in play. So it's tough to break down this Sixers team until we know the status of Tobias Harris. Now, if Tobias Harris plays, man, then it just kind of gets a little wonky. I don't think I'd be going to a ton of these Sixers guys if Harris is in. I'm really gonna only have interest in this team if Harris winds up sitting. Now on the Warriors side, when it comes to this Golden State team, it's really tough to roster many of these guys outside of Steph and Draymond. Wiggins and Poole both got priced up because obviously Steph was out last game, so they saw their prices increase for this slate. I don't really have any interest in them. Steph at 11-4. Against the Sixers here, I think this is a fine spot for Steph. We know Steph can put up massive games any night. I don't think he's going to be a priority play for me, but I think he's definitely playable. I think Draymond Green at 6,700 is probably my favorite play from Golden State. We know Draymond has plenty of upside. He's shown somewhat of a low floor this year. We've seen him disappoint plenty of times, but he has triple-double upside. He can stuff the stat sheet, can do a little bit of everything. 6,700 I think is a pretty nice price for Draymond. He should be pretty low owned, so if you want to go there, I think it's fine. I don't know if there's any priority plays from Golden State though, especially now that they have Draymond and Steph back for this game. It really takes me off a lot of these guys that we were playing last slate. I think Curry and Draymond would be the only two guys I'd be considering from the Warriors today. Last game of the night, though, the Blazers and the Kings. So this is probably the best game of the night, in my opinion, just in terms of fantasy appeal. These are two really fast-paced teams. So far this year, the Blazers 14th in pace, the Kings 11th in pace, and in terms of defensive rating, both these teams are bottom 5 or bottom 6 in defensive rating. The Kings are 26th in defensive rating, and the Blazers are 25th. So these are two relatively fast-paced teams, and these are two pretty bad defensive teams as well. I think this is a good spot for both teams. So I don't really game stack, but I think this is a game that you could definitely play maybe 2, 3, 4 guys from. Damian Lillard at 9,700, I do like quite a bit. This is a back-to-back for Portland, but I assume Dame will be good to go. He's having a pretty good game right now. As I'm recording this video Tuesday night, he's having a good game Tuesday against the Nuggets. Now he gets a really good matchup against the Kings. I think Dame is starting to heat up a little bit. We saw him really struggle at the beginning of the year, but he's starting to find his shot. He's starting to get back into that groove. At 9,700, I think Dame's a really good pay-up option. I definitely like him on this slate. I think CJ McCollum's viable too. Yusuf Nurkic as a really low-on tournament play makes some sense. He dominated against the Kings earlier this year, 44 DK points in 28 minutes. Love the matchup for Nurkic. I do worry that, his minutes this year have been so up and down. Some nights he'll play like 28 minutes. Some nights he'll only play 20. But going up against Rashawn Holmes, this is a Kings team that does normally have like either Holmes or even Bagley. They got into the rotation last game. Alex Len, they'll give some minutes to. Usually they have a big on the floor at all times. So I think Nurkic probably gets close to 30 minutes, and at 6,200 in a good matchup against Sacramento, I think Yusuf Nurkic is a pretty good tournament play for, he's going to be super, super low owned. So Dame, CJ, Nurkic, I have interest in all those guys. The rest of the Blazers, though, not as high on, like Norman Powell, Robert Covington. I had a little bit of interest in these guys Tuesday just because it was such a short slate, but 13 games today, doubt I go to them. So we can talk about Sacramento now real quick before we do end the video. So on Sacramento, as you can tell by the thumbnail, De'Aaron Fox, guy I like a lot today. 7,600 on Draftkings, I think is just a little bit too cheap. And on Yahoo, I think he looks pretty good over there. He looks underpriced, $33. I will say that Dame at $38 looks like a really good option as well if you wanted to play Dame. Honestly, you could put Dame in here instead of Fox. But for now, we'll just include Fox into the early core. Matchup against Portland, really, really favorable. As I said earlier, Portland has not been good defensively this year. Both these teams have been playing relatively fast. I haven't looked at the total for this game, but I assume it's pretty high. I'd assume this game probably has like one of the highest. This game might honestly be the game with the highest total on the slate. 7,600 is too cheap for De'Aaron Fox. I know he's been super inconsistent this year. I know he's shown a pretty low floor, but we know the ceiling is still there. We know he has 45, 50-point upside. If it's a close game, De'Aaron Fox is going to play 36, 38 minutes. He had a pretty good game earlier this year against Portland, 45 DK points in 36 minutes. I like Fox quite a bit today. I think he's just underpriced for the upside he has in a really good matchup against Portland. So he stands out as a strong play. I think Harrison Barnes and Rashawn Holmes are playable too, just because the matchup's so good and the pace of this game's so good. Really a lot of, all these guys are tournament appeal. I have tournament interest in. I think De'Aaron Fox is the priority play for me from Sacramento, but Barnes, Holmes, even Buddy Hield caught fire last game. I think Buddy Hield's playable as a tournament option, but Fox is really the standout play from Sacramento, I think, and that's probably it for the Kings. So I think that does it for the slate, guys. I think that does it for all 13 games. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, hit the like button. Please do hit the subscribe button as well if you have not yet. And check out the sponsor of the video, Prize Picks. If you haven't signed up for Prize Picks yet, check them out. Use code Noah. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. They will basically double your first deposit up to $100. You can take advantage of that Josh Allen promo that we talked about at the beginning of the video. Wednesday night around midnight, early Thursday morning. Check Prize Picks. Check the passing yard prop on Josh Allen. It will be set at 0.5 passing yards, and obviously you would take the over on that. Find another pick you like to pair with that one, parlay them together, and potentially triple up your money. As easy as that. So Prize Picks running a cool promo this Thanksgiving. Check that out. Sign up if you have not yet. Use code Noah, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. But best of luck tonight, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one. Peace.